Welcome to the RT Development Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rosnall, and I'm really excited for today's guest, Grady Greenwood. Grady grew up playing both football and wrestling in high school before going on to play football at Washburn University from 2017 to 2019. His playing career was unfortunately cut short due to a medical retirement, and in 2019 he transferred to the University of Nebraska, where he also interned with the baseball program. Unfortunately, that experience was cut short by COVID, but in January of 2023, he landed an internship with Cressy Sports Performance. After completing the internship, he was hired on full-time and worked there until December 24. From there, he made the move west and became the director of performance here at Rossy's Training. I'm excited to welcome to the show, Grady Greenwood.
Thanks for having me on, Matt.
No, I'm excited to have you on. You've been here since, I believe, April 1st.
Yep.
And so I think it's been a really cool or a really good transition having you on board. Obviously, coming from Cressy Sports, you're around baseball players all the time, and I think it's been a really smooth transition to bring you in and having you the head of the floor. Excited.
Having a whole ton of fun, too.
Yeah. Good. I think another good thing, just kind of talk, we haven't really had an outgoing coach before.
Yeah.
So it brings a good balance to a few of our other coaches that are not as outgoing and loud, and just kind of gives a little more, some extra energy and also a different dynamic to the floor. So it's been good.
I definitely think that's one of my strengths. When it comes to coaching, that's just something I want to bring is the energy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think kids love it, too. You know? So
they do.
Yeah, we're trying to make it a fun time, you know? So
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Overall, how has your move from the East Coast to West Coast been?
It's been good. I mean, the drive from Boston over to California is crazy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I saw all, different regions of the United States in 3 days, which is pretty cool. My least favorite being the Midwest, being from there, which is crazy to say, but it was cool. It was great. I mean, living in California is awesome. I mean, I wear flip-flops every day, so I can't really complain. No snow either. I do miss snow, but not too much. I like my toes being warm, not super cold. But it's been great, Also, my parents live in Anaheim, so I get to see them a little bit more, which has been, huge, and very thankful and grateful for this job and allowing me to do that too, So, but I love it here. Love the energy, the people. That's been great. It's been
awesome.
great,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just kind of going a little more into your background and stuff. You coached at one of the powerhouses, I would say, in the field, Cressy Sports Performance. And a lot of stuff that we've integrated or learned from and been learning through Eric and Cressy Sports Performance over our time or my time. But what are some of the things, or what did you learn there that has helped shaped you into how you coach and your current role here?
I think my time at Cressy, I think one of the big things that I did learn was a level or a sense of professionalism in the workplace. I think, and we bring that here too, right? It's like being able to take athletes, no matter what level, very seriously about their goals and what they want to achieve. I've helped countless athletes get to, anywhere from a Division III college if they really want to play baseball after high school to, maybe a Power 5 school or even on to playing professional baseball, I think when I was in college, I think the idea was okay, I just want to work with professional athletes. I think when I got to Cressy, it was the idea of working with professional athletes was really cool, but also helping that kid get to play another 4 years of college is awesome. And that's something I learned at Cressy is to take everybody's situation with a sense of pride, and being able to man, you want this really bad. I want to help you get there, So, I don't care if the kid can throw 75 or 90, as long as he wants to gets better, I want to work with him, So I think that's one of the big pieces I learned there during my time at
Absolutely. I think that's a huge thing. I mean, I think, we have all different levels of athletes walking through our doors here. And I think the biggest thing when I talk to anyone is, are they going to be willing to put in the work? Are they willing to, work hard? And and from there, if they're willing to do that, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do everything we can to help them take that next step and move on. And whether it be Division I or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
like get him just to play at the next level outside high school. I mean, there's very few people that get to do that, and
100%.
so
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
everyone matters. It's
Uh-huh.
not just
Yeah. Not just
not
like
just the D1 guy.
100% agree. Yeah.
And majority of the athletes at Cressy here at Rossy's training are baseball players. We have probably every single sport an athlete from each sport, but baseball is obviously the strong or where we spend most of our time. With that, you have a football background. How has the transition to baseball? How has that been?
I think like kind of going into my background as a football player, I what got me into baseball was actually super random. Like I just got assigned to the baseball program in 2019 when I did that internship in Nebraska. I just kind of fell in love with it. Just the different perspective on strength training is different from baseball and football, right? Like football, traditionally, really Olympic lifting, heavy sport. You know what I mean? A lot of hang cleans, power cleans, heavy squats, heavy bench, those types of things. But getting into baseball was just a little bit different. Like I think I learned about a split squat for the first time when I was at Nebraska. Like I never did that in college,
Sure.
So I found it interesting. I was like, okay, there are different ways to train. One of the best pieces of advice too when I was at Nebraska, the strength coach is Bryce Sieko, who is now out of the industry now. He told me there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, and I think that and that's a simple term,
Sure.
but like I think that really opened up the idea. Okay, there are different ways to train. And through that internship, I learned about Cressy sports performance and started diving into that, and I think getting into a fresh perspective on baseball without playing it actually played to my favor a little bit too. Because when I got at Cressy too, I didn't know who the pro guys were. You know what I mean? I think that kind of played to my favor. It's like they're just everybody's the same to me. You know? So, but the transition to baseball's been great. I love baseball. I like going to baseball games. And I enjoy it. So, I just like the culture of the sport too.
And this wasn't one of our questions, but I think it's kind of talking about that and not having that baseball background. But I believe when you were at Cressy, you lived with a bunch of baseball players.
I did, yeah.
How was that experience? Like, did that help you learn anything about baseball players and like kind of their mindset and what they're going through?
Yeah, I think like it taught me feel. You know what I mean? Like when to ask how they're doing and when not to ask how they're doing. Because
Sure.
I think if there are any future strength coaches watching this podcast too and are curious about how do I interact with the sport I've never trained with, ask questions, be curious, not judgmental.
Sure.
Like I'm really big about that. Like be curious about situations and also know when to not be curious and like let things unfold a little bit. Like I remember a mistake I made early in my internship was like one of the pro guys had a bad pen. And I asked him, how'd your pen go? He kind of blew me off, and I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to talk to me about it. I'm just some intern, unpaid intern coming in CSP. So learning about that, I think, was huge. And also just, like, the perspective on the minor league grind was huge because I lived with some guys that played minor league ball. And it's a tough job. There's no break. I think they play way too many games. That's my personal opinion, though. You know what I mean? Like, their elbows are always hurting and – but it's chasing a dream that they've always wanted, so you want to support them through it. And I think those are major things that I learned during my time living with them. And they're fun. Like, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of weird because it's like professional athletes your own age a little bit, just different professions. They play baseball. I'm a strength coach, so.
No, 100%. I think for you to be in that environment, it's like an invaluable experience because you really get to see them in and outside the weight room, how they really are, what kind of, this isn't going to be not everyone's going to get that experience, but you can really like see what's going to help someone tick and what's not.
100%, yeah.
But kind of transitioning to like philosophy and how you interact with your athletes, our athletes. One big thing that I've always said is, and truly believe in, is people or athletes don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And one of, I would say, your strong suits is your ability to like build that trust, show athletes how invested you are in them, and how do you go about that process, and how do you build those connections so that you can help these athletes?
I think it's just something that I've been really good at for a long time too. I love investing in people. You know what I mean? I think that's why I love what I do so much. You know, not just that I get to wear shorts to work and a shirt, but just being able to be there for people and I think I just care a lot. One of my first clients ever. You know, he's this really tall I was in college. I was working part-time at a gym. His name was Connor. He's a great kid. And he was this tall, bigger kid. Nobody really ever gave him a shot. Sixth grader. Wasn't super strong. I think that's when it first started for me because he believed in me so much. He's like, I'm going to get you to – Connor truly believed that I'm going to get him to where he wants to be at. It was actually one of my hardest goodbyes, too, because after our college, I went to the CSB internship. I was working with Connor throughout college. And we just kind of got into the weight room. I didn't know much either. I'm 21 years old, 22 years old. So it's we're just going to be squatting, deadlifting, and doing push-ups. But, that helped him get better.
Sure.
And definitely one of, the best kids I've ever met. Just because he believed in me so much. I hope he sees this, too. That'd be kind of cool. But it empowered me to think, okay, I can help so many others. And then eventually, after I left, Connor was going to be I think he was a freshman in high school when I left for CSP. And he actually went on, this is his senior year. He actually got a Division I scholarship.
That's awesome.
I know, it's so cool. And I don't talk to him often, but he DM'd me it and he let me know. And he updates me every once in a while, but he's such a great kid. And I think that experience of working with somebody, so hands-on, right? Because we work in semi-private, so we don't really get that. That's why I love one-on-one training too. I always try to get some type of itch, scratch that itch. But me and Connor worked, 3 years together, and helped him become, hopefully helped him along his path, and I like to say I don't take people through the path, they walk the path, but I pave it for them, and they have to walk it and they have to do the right things, and he's done all the right things. So that, I think that experience helped me learn, okay, I can not just help Connor, I can help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're in. We're in the service industry and I want to help people.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's, you have those experiences, especially something like that where, and I guess that kid, Connor, he put all that trust in you, and you want to do everything you can to pay it back to him.
It's weird how much they trust you too.
But kind of going back to building that trust, when a new athlete comes in, what are your first priorities that you like to focus on?
I think first priority is getting to know them, getting to know what type of kid they are. Are they a shy 8th grader who's a little nervous about being here? Are they a junior that this is their last shot at trying to get somewhere, right? I think big priorities for me, or big rocks to push, is on the physical side is figuring out what they need to get better at, right? So with 8th graders, I think it's always pretty simple. I don't think youth strength training should be complicated, right? It should be let's teach them fundamental basic movements. There are going to be some mobility limitations that you find during the assessment, which is normal because people are people. And those are still things we're going to work on, but you have to teach people how to properly strength train before you can dive into deeper schools of thought, I would say, or more advanced exercises, more advanced, triphasic style training, or anything that's kind of crazy out there right now, but things that work, right? But when I write, when it's an 8th grader, it's typically let's teach these guys how to be really good at lifting because it's supplemental. I think what's more important for youth strength training to incorporate is teaching them how to sprint, change of direction, throwing how to jump, those things actually matter. And that's on the physical side, but also just making them comfortable. I want this to feel like a third place they can be at, including home and school,
Sure.
So, that's the environment we want to incorporate here too.
We try to, that's always been, the thought behind everything is I want this to be a second home. Yeah. It's why we have, and it's why we create the environment we've created. We have guys hang out here after and before their training sessions.
I know, and then they're here.
And I've never never will turn it down because I want people to have that second home, and
100%.
And we do have good kids,
Yeah.
but it's rather than be doing that than the
Not
other
doing
things they
something,
could be getting into.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And I think because they are so comfortable, like they work harder. Once sure, there's times where not he guys can get too comfortable, but with that, like because they're comfortable, they have no problem like pushing themselves and doing
100%.
things like that, and
Yeah.
really just getting after it.
Yeah, and
Around.
like what's cool about our environment too, it's like it's not just kids from one high school.
Yeah.
You see what your competition's doing over down the street too, you know what I mean? And iron sharpens iron, and you want to beat
100%.
these guys when season comes, you know? So we have healthy competition in here too, which is
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
When it comes to programming, you talked a little bit about it there with your younger guys, but what are some basic principles that you always come back to when programming?
I think being a product of CSP, I think I do have. I think like principles that I usually come back to is very conjugate based. Like, and that's just how I've been taught to program. It's like trying to do a little bit of everything, like being able to focus on strength, power, and hypertrophy, and being able to train these qualities year round. I think is important to me, just because we live in a sport where 3/4 of the year they're playing,
Sure.
and like I want to be able to train these qualities as frequently as possible. It's different when you're in a team setting. Like if we were working at a college right now, it's like you have a more standard schedule, but I don't know when the next showcase is going to
Sure.
be. I don't know when kids need to ball out a little bit, and I want to make sure they're always sharp. So I think that's my approach, is like being able to make sure that I'm filling these buckets that they need. Now, depending on this, like when it's winter and there's no baseball going on and it's leading into a spring season, yeah, like, filling that bucket a little bit more than the other one, I think it's important. But trying to keep things pretty, like, I like to think my programming, it's not boring, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's like, we're going to get a little bit of everything, you
Sure.
know? It's goal dependent too. Like what if the kid's like, I really want to get better at trap bar deadlifts, it's like, okay, how can we make that happen? But when it comes to like my philosophy on programming, it's like I'm gonna make sure kids are getting everything that they need year round, because that's just the private sector world we live in.
Sure.
But
And I think you touched on, or you said your programming is not boring, and
yeah,
not to say it is boring,
yeah,
but there has to be some boring to it. Like
Yeah.
if you want to get good at something,
yeah,
and that's why we do at least 4-week programs, because you have to do it over and
Yeah.
over and over,
Yeah.
right? And we see it all the time. It's like guys go to a local gym,
yeah,
and I think it's great they're going to train, but like they'll do squats one week, and
Yeah.
then next week it's some other exercise,
Yep.
and then another
Yeah.
different program that they saw on Instagram. And
Instagram.
then it's like
TikTok,
going
yeah.
back and forth, and they can
Yeah.
never actually see progress
Yeah.
in a specific exercise,
Yeah.
or see if that pattern's changing or
Yeah.
anything like that. So now, I think something that I always try to tell guys, like,
Yeah.
oh, I did this exercise last month.
Yeah.
A squat's a squat first,
100%.
right? Like based off mobility restrictions, things like that, we might give you a front squat versus a back squat, but
Yeah.
the pattern we want to see in there and continue to be there, because that's how you're going to see the progress, by doing it and doing it and doing it, versus like changing the specific movement every other week.
Yeah, and I think like one of the things I did learn at CSP is frequency is what makes people better at something. You know what I mean? And even from a like I did a powerlifting meet a couple years ago, and I think one of the things that I was always a good bench presser and stuff like that, but my bench press really shot up when I started doing it twice a week, and then it kind of clicked for me for athletes. It's like if I want people to get better at an activity, and it's the same thing with throwing, right? You have to throw more to get better at throwing. Any overhead athlete needs to do that, within good reason though too. You know what I mean? We're not trying to burn kids out or anything, but when it comes to the exercise piece, I think I'm not scared to split squat kids twice a week or trap bar deadlift kids twice a week. It just depends on the volume intensity that we're doing it at, right?
Sure.
Like there has to be good taste into it. But I think, and I've seen the most improvement out of those kids when I program more frequent things. I think kids just get better. They get stronger. And then you've been to a high school baseball game.
Sure.
Like you can tell who lifts and who doesn't
Yeah,
when you go to a high school
absolutely.
baseball game.
And with anything, and specificity is key, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get faster, you got to sprint. You're going to have to
100%.
sprint
Yeah.
more than even more than once a week.
Yeah.
And that's why we do make sure our guys are sprinting multiple times a week.
Yeah.
If you want on the skill side, you can't just pitch once and that doesn't mean go throw a bullpen every day, and you need to have a mapped out plan. But if you want to get better at throwing, you got to practice the skill of throwing.
100%.
So
yeah.
And we're going to get into it a little bit later, but you have as much of anyone would know, as you've started your own throwing journey.
I did.
But and we'll get into that at the end because I'm excited to tap into that a little bit. But we're obviously, like you said, we are a semi-private facility, but we believe in individualized programming. We believe in the individualization, and not every athlete is the same, and we want to make sure we tailor our programs to the athlete and not the athlete tailor to our programming. So with that, every athlete goes through an assessment when they walk through our doors and has an individualized program. How important is that to you and to the athlete? Or can you explain to them why that is important?
I think like the sense of like having your own program tailored towards you, I think creates buy-in. You know what I mean? It's like because it's not easy. We write. We have so many clients here, but it's 50 plus. And it takes time to write those programs and invest in the athlete, and a lot of thinking goes into it too. And we want kids. We want to work on the things they need to get better at. Now things don't change. Like say split squats don't change. You know what I mean? But how we apply it does. Sure. I think when it comes to the setting that we're in is I've never seen any other, like, group training's great for maybe little dudes and stuff like that. But I think if we want to give kids an edge, it is individualized programming, making sure it's tailored to the athlete about how do they want to get better. Do they need to get faster? We need to sprint more. But that's not the case for everybody. What if you're already really fast but not really strong?
Sure.
It just depends on what bucket we want to fill, I would say.
Absolutely.
But I think it's the best way to train, though, for any private sector facility.
Absolutely.
I'd make that argument, 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's different ways to individualize the program, right?
Yeah.
It could be just the cues you use with each guy. Like one cue might work for you, but not work for me. And so having specific individualized cues for you could be like when we go through the assessment process, guy has limited shoulder mobility. We're probably not going to put him in a ton of like back squatting, maybe doing like more front squatting, things like that. So we're not cranking on the shoulders. Yeah. Just figuring out what an athlete, but at the end of the day, they're still doing a split squat. It's just which variation and things like that.
Yeah.
But right now, and I talked about it with our guys all the time, it's the fall. It's a huge opportunity for you to make some huge gains to probably – for guys that, especially for guys that aren't playing, it's your biggest window you're going to get without games if you're not playing fall ball. And so you can really make a huge improvement in your training or in your performance by the training that you do to get you ready for the spring. How do you go about programming for the fall, and what are you looking for, what it determines what an athlete needs?
I think, well, when it comes to off-season training in general, I think it's like the one thing all high school kids chase is size.
Sure.
So, I think in the fall, like, my thought process is we're going to chase strength and hypertrophy a little bit more. Just because, like going back to what you said, like, if you've been to a high school event of any sporting event, you just know who trains and who doesn't. But also, like, kids do need to get going sooner than later. The clock is ticking, and there's always this like Twitter post that gets posted every year. You've probably seen it before, but you only have this many days as a freshman, this many days as a sophomore, junior, senior. That is true, and like when you get to the fall, the kids that get here in August are going to do a lot better than the kids that get here in December. Yeah, I think that's very obvious, So the more time you have to develop, the better you're going to do. I can guarantee it, So I think, like, if you weigh 170 pounds, you want to get to 190. It's very doable if you start in August. Now, if you come around to December, I can't guarantee that. Because once December rolls around, priorities are going to change. We're 3 months out of season. We need to get faster. So the more time, the better. It is like we work with multi-sport athletes here too, so we have to, which I love. kids that play multiple sports too. I think it just makes you a better athlete at the end of the day. But, if you are focused on baseball, man, and you're not doing a fall sport, get in the weight room, like
Absolutely.
ASAP. Like it should have been last month,
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You don't. Oh, I'll do it next month, or I'll do it
Yeah.
next week. Like once you say those words, you're putting yourself behind. And it's
100%.
and we can always tell the kids, like, when can I start? Like those kids that are eager, want to get after it right away. Those are the guys that are you see that are making the huge, biggest jumps and the biggest improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So I get asked this all the time, and we have young kids in here. But when do you think is a good time for a kid to start training, or what is an appropriate age group?
I think, with the experiences I've had, I've trained, kids as young as 10 years old. It just depends on what you give them. I think important like rocks to kind of push over for youth athletes in general is like, let's learn how to be athletic. You know what I mean? Let's learn how to jump, move, sprint. I would say a little bit less, still lifting weights, but it's not going to take an hour and a half training session on the weight room. You know what I mean? It's going to be, I think 30 minutes to 45 at
Sure.
most. It just depends on what you're doing. And, I think, but it also depends like on the 10-year-old a little bit too. Are they into it or are they not? If they're not into it, you don't want to make them do it. But if they're into it, let's get after it. You know?
Absolutely.
I also so I think you can start as young as 10. But I think prime time to start is 13. Every 13-year-old should be in the weight room. I think that's a non-negotiable if you want to play collegiate sports. And that's coming from somebody that I started getting in the weight room at, 12, 13 years old with my dad. I didn't have anything like this though.
Sure.
You know what I mean? A lot of things were self-taught or through, sport coaches from high school who were great, but, they weren't like, they didn't have the background, I think, of true training that me or Matt have, and, from my experiences, it helped me get better though. You know what I mean? It wasn't the best training in the world probably, but it got me better. So
At
it's
least
like,
got you started. And I
100%.
mean, I think, that's a huge piece of it. So.
Yeah. So I think finding coaches that, have a training background, it's important. And then also I think 13 is the time to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that 13 age is you definitely should be training.
Mm-hmm.
For guys that are younger, are they really interested into it? Like, do they want to train?
Yeah.
It's not like, it's not like a chore or something like they're eager to do. Like, we have some 10-year-old, 11-year-olds that they love it. They just want to train. And then, those ones I think it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's like a chore, then probably it's probably not the right time.
Yeah, it's kids will tell you if they like it or not.
Exactly.
They're not scared of being honest. So
Absolutely.
It's the same thing when you sign kids up for sports. They'll tell you if they don't like it or not. It's the same thing with training, but I think training grows on everybody eventually. I like to think.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
We made some changes to our arm care recently. You and I both took a course by Austin Einhorn, and I really enjoyed it. And I think from talking to you, you really enjoyed it. And I think it really changed our outlook or how we looked at things a little bit. With that, what are some of those basic principles that we've added and how do you think the changes have gone?
I think, big things that I learned from Austin's course was, I do pain is local, but it's caused by a movement deficiency, right? So it's what isn't moving right and how do we fix it? I think that kind of changed the way I look at, forearm pain, bicep pain, tricep pain, the things that we probably deal with the most on the training floor.
Sure. And all within our realm, right?
Yeah,
we know when to refer out.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
State
that we do refer out. We got guys. Don't know where I am, but dealing with those types of issues, I think has put a different outlook on how I approach not just arm care because that's the typical term, but training in general, and trying to get guys right.
Sure.
I think, I think it changed our assessment process a little bit too, looking like overhead shoulder flexion, things like that. His course is great though. I learned a ton. So.
And I would say, just to add on to that, just some key principles that we look at for now that I think to help more as much as it's to like help someone feel better, it's also lack of a better word, like prevent, because injuries do happen, and we're not 100% going to prevent everything, but giving an athlete or helping an athlete be more robust, and so that 100%. They are able to withstand more and do more, and I think it's definitely helped there, and something that especially, so I think we saw those changes over the summer, and now even over a longer period of time, being able to install them, I think it'll even get even better.
And some of our guys have benefited.
Yeah,
tremendously. No, you know what I mean? Like
some instant changes.
100%. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I hope, Austin, you see this. We love you.
No, it was definitely fantastic.
Very good.
So, another kind of piece of, especially for your side, is you have to interact with hitting coaches and pitching coaches every day, and I think one of our biggest things is making sure that all of us are working in unison. We're all working together. Whatever, because at the end of the day, the number one goal is to help these athletes and our athletes on the field and help them perform at the highest level. So for me, it's not like, oh, you're going to do your pitching, you're going to do your training, and they kind of are just total different entities. It's like, how can we bring them all together? So especially and not having that baseball background, how is your process of working hand in hand with these skill coaches, and how do you integrate that into training to help them attack, say, something they're missing?
I think having conversation with the skill coaches about what are they missing and what can I do to help. That's kind of my process on it. It's like, what do these guys need? And, not having a baseball background, it's doing the best of my ability of trying to help and supplement, but also trusting the skill coach, I think is huge. I think there are divides between skill coaches and strength coaches at different places, not here, right? It's like I always the best programs work hand in hand with each other, you know what I mean? And I think that's without a doubt a fact, but that's not the case everywhere. But you have to be able to trust your skill coaches to do their job, and also relay information to you about what does this kid need in their programming, what position do they need to be better at holding, and then as with my job as a strength coach, it's like, okay, how can I apply this to the programming? And and like here, we have conversations on the floor all the time. We try to have meetings as much as we can. We are busy, right? We're human beings. But, being able to have a quick conversation about how did the pen go? What does this guy need? You know what I mean? What's going on? And being able to trust that their information given to me could be applied to the programming too.
Yeah, and we try to meet as much as possible. But I think from outside of formal meetings, there's constant dialogue going about players, notes, things like that, so we can all make sure we're all working on the same thing. Language is similar, things like that, so we're able to help the athlete in all the different areas and then the athlete doesn't feel like he's in on an island with three different people or however many people,
100%.
And I think, kind of jumping ahead a little bit, it showed itself, or the results spoke for themselves this summer. We just finished our annual college summer program and saw an average of 4.5 miles an hour in velocity gain for our pitchers. The hitters' numbers aren't done yet, but they all saw increase as well and saw improvements. But what do you think that stems from?
I think the time that we had with kids this summer, I think we had a lot of time, which was a good thing. Also, I think just really good, solid training. A lot of kids that did come in here, had a limited training background, I think, too, and being exposed to, sprinting, jumping, training. And we had a lot of new guys, too, that I think that came in this summer that haven't trained with us before. Being exposed to these, adaptations, I think, just enhanced, their skills on the mound. We also ran triphasic that I think did really well. And I think, I think guys got what they needed. We also had guys who were dedicated and showed up, and that goes into the frequency part. You know what I mean? And, if you do, if you're a college kid and you're looking at trying to get better this summer, I would say avoid summer ball. You know what I mean? If you want, it depends on everybody's situation, right? But if you want to get better at something, train with us or find somewhere to train. It has to be, if you're trying to get a spot, you know what I mean? Like, let's fight for something, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think our results speak for themselves a little
Absolutely.
bit.
Yeah, the summer was great. I mean, I think you touched on a little bit when you have, and this goes back to earlier stuff we talked about, like consistency is key. When you spend 10 weeks every day, 5 to 6 days a week in the gym, and like you stick to something for an extended period of time, you should see results. I mean, and I think that's where a lot of guys get in trouble is like come for a week and then they're gone for a week and then come for a week, they're gone for a week, and they're like, I'm not seeing any results. I mean, at the end of the day, consistency is king. And so that's with like the college program and something so specific. When you're so locked in for that period of time, like that's when good things start to really show themselves.
Yeah, 100%. So like,
You're a strength coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously we believe in strength training, and I for myself and for us as a staff, I believe strength is the foundation for everything, and it allows you to display all these different strength, speed, power, all these things, right? So, in how big of a role do you think strength does play in velocity and performance?
I mean, there's been like research showing that like watts of power or whatever force put in the ground has a correlation with how hard you are throwing off the mound too. But I think strength is great, but you could have somebody like me who can put a lot of force in the ground, but I can't throw the baseball very hard. You know what I mean? Like, I think, if I were to pick, something that mattered the most to athletes, it's probably mobility, you know what I mean? And working on deficiencies that people just don't have. I think strength is really important, and you have to be strong, like, to do what you want to do. But being able to train at full ranges of motion and, maintaining mobility while getting stronger, I think is just as important. You see a lot of guys who, and don't get me wrong, I think bodybuilding and powerlifting are great, but if you have an athlete who's just training those things, maybe at partial ranges of motion, they're probably not, they're going to get a lot stronger, but range of motion does get limited, and we're talking about a skill that you need a lot of range of motion to be proficient at what you want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, mobility, I think another one I would not to put mobility and speed are two missing components. I think sometimes, like you said, bodybuilding, powerlifting, those type of that type of training builds the strength part. But if you don't have the speed and the mobility to display that strength, then that's where guys get that's where guys get in trouble. So
100%.
And we see it all the time. I think there's diminishing returns to after a certain level of strength. So it's making sure that's where the assessment, all that stuff comes into place to make sure a guy has an individualized program based off where he is at and what he needs.
Yeah, and like there's no difference between a 405 squatter and a 500-pound back squatter, right? Like they're both really strong, but it's like what's going to take them to the next level. Yeah,
100%. How do you make sure, and you just talked on it a little bit, but how do you make sure what's done in the weight room is going to actually carry over to performance on the field?
I think checking performance measures, you know what I mean? Doing like weekly force plate testing, doing 10-yard dash testing I think matters, and seeing how the programming is affecting athletic skills or outputs, I think will show if the program's working or not too. Also, like, how are they throwing bullpens? You know what I mean? How hard are we throwing the baseball right now? Are things coming together, or are there things that we need to change? Like this summer we had a couple guys who were kind of going in their bullpens not super hot, you know what I mean? And we had them throw some med balls and sprint a little bit, and they were getting hot off the mound, So like potentiation. Like it's just being able to make sure if the programming, I have no issue with an athlete telling me, hey, I don't think this is working. Can we work on this? I'd be like, yeah, let's change some things up and see if it works. All we're doing, I think on the strength side at least, is it's a lot of like asking a question, testing it, and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, we have to change the question, and change the testing. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think the program is like a template per se, but it's like we're in a we're going to watch and, okay, does it need to make change, and have conversations throughout with an athlete and make sure that it's not set in stone. It's in pencil, not pen. Like, we can make some adjustments as needed, because it's about you, the athlete, versus like, no, this is the program, and we're not changing it.
Yeah, and like, and there are places like that too. It'd be like, I'm not going to change my ideology for anybody, you know, and quite that, you know, that's being stuck in your ways a little bit. You know, you got to, especially with the generation of athletes I think we're working with too, like kids nowadays, you have to work with them. You
Absolutely.
know, especially like we are a business too, and I want to help kids, but they are paying a premium for what we're doing, right? So it's like, if something's not working, let's change it. Let's make it better. You know, it also makes us better coaches too, right? It's like, maybe I'm going to try something I haven't tried before and be like, okay, this is pretty cool. Now we can work with that more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how important it is to train hard, but I think a missing piece is recovery. Athletes love to like get after it, and they think more is always better. What strategies do you what strategies do you emphasize on the recovery side to help our athletes, recover and feel better so they can keep training hard?
I'm big on telling guys, like, if it makes you feel good, do it. When it comes to, as long as it's not diminishing, right? I think that's a piece. Like, I don't think like foam rolling or too much sauna is going to hurt an athlete, but if it makes you feel good, I think you should do it. There's value in that. Like the other thing, like foam rolling, I don't know if it really works or not, but I know kids like it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so, like, why would I tell a kid not to foam roll? Or use the lacrosse ball to roll out a certain muscle. There's value in recovery, and there's value in being like also mentally strong too. If it makes you feel good, especially if you're in season and you're getting beat up by, if you're throwing, 6 or 7 innings a game, and this makes you feel really good, let's do it. Also, I don't know everything either. You know what I mean? I don't know the research behind everything. I'm very comfortable saying that. But I also know, like, foam rolling's not going to hurt you long term, right?
Sure.
And that could be anything. That could be like, if a guy likes to put ice on something, and there's some arguments about, how people view ice now, you know what I mean? But if it makes you feel good, I think you should do it, because like, the only person knows how you are truly feeling is yourself. So I'm like, if a recovering modality makes you feel better, you should do it. Like, I also know meditation's huge too, and like yoga's great. You know what I mean? As long as it's not like I'm gonna go do 10 sets of a minute bike sprint which I don't know who would do that to recover. You never know though.
Absolutely.
But it's like, if this makes you feel good, let's rock it, man. Let's rock it.
Absolutely. And I think just because a lot of the generation or the athletes that we train are younger kids, they're going to school.
Yeah.
And so one piece of advice that I talk to our guys about all the time, and I think is a huge part of the recovery as well that they miss, is a lot of these kids are up playing video games or whatnot till who knows when, and then having to wake up early for class. Like, the best recovery tool you have is sleep.
100%,
and so like make sure they're prioritizing sleep, hydration, make sure they're hydrating, make sure they're eating good foods. Like, those pieces alone are such an important piece of the recovery process that I think sometimes gets forgot about by these kids, or just they get caught with other things. And so
and like, I just take care of yourself, man. You know what I mean? Like, I can guarantee you get 8 hours of sleep versus 3, you're probably gonna feel better with the 8 hours.
Absolutely. We're big on the coaching side, and I think there's nothing replaces coaching and teaching athletes, helping show athletes how they need to do something and how to do it. With that, we do have a lot of technology in here. We use it, and we help. We use the technology to help guide us in what an athlete needs. What are some of your favorite tools that we have, and how do you go about balancing the data with your coaching?
I think my favorite piece that we do have is force plates. I think that's undoubtedly the most valuable tool we probably have on the weight room floor right now. Just because you can see jump height, force, and speed, right? So it's like you're kind of getting, 3 of the best, outputs in one test, you know. So I think that, you know, I like doing that once a week. I don't want kids to become obsessed with it. We have to do this every day because things do change daily. Like force isn't always going to be the best on from a day to day, especially like if you have a heavy leg day before. I want to make sure guys are doing it on the right day, right? But something to keep in check in mind is like, okay, how's our force output doing on the force plates, and is it consistent? Is it over the average that we're at? You know, over a long period of time. I think that means we're doing the right things. I love our gates too. Speed's a factor. And you know, I just making sure guys are getting better, not worse at things, I think is important, because if you're getting worse at speed, we're probably not sprinting enough. You know, we're probably not doing that training modality enough. You know,
Absolutely.
Same thing with like, you know, with the force plates. Like, okay, are we strength training? Are we lifting heavy enough, and are we jumping enough? You know, and if these numbers aren't going up, we need to do more of it, I think, in good taste, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Kind of a few last questions, and then we'll get into our rapid fire questions
really?
that I didn't share with you. I wanted to give you. I didn't want you to have any. I wanted to keep it, you know,
Off the
rapid
dome?
fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted you to have to be on the spot.
I love it.
So with that,
Mhm.
can you share some or your favorite success story of an athlete you have trained?
I know earlier in the podcast we talked about Connor, but I also want to talk about my little brother, Gavin, because like, you know, there's a 5-year age difference between us, and he is my little brother. You know what I mean? So he was also one of my first clients too. You know, and I was in college when he was in high school, and we used to train together like all the time. And you can imagine how brothers probably train together. There's a lot of bickering, arguing, and I just learned a lot from Gavin though too. It's like he taught me how to be a better coach. He taught me how to be more patient. You know, even though he's a family member and I love him, you know what I mean? But it's like I have to remind myself he's a kid in high school. I'm his older brother. He probably doesn't want to listen to me all the time, but without a doubt, one of the hardest workers I know. You know, always came ready to rumble. You know, he's had a great career too, and I also partially want to, you know, I think he also got me into baseball. He's a really accomplished high school baseball player and got his career cut short because of TJ. Played like one semester JUCO ball, and then just decided to make a transition to football, became an All-American, which was cool too. You know,
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a badass. You know what I mean? He's my favorite person on the planet. But you know, he taught me how to be patient. And like Connor taught me how, you know, I can make somebody feel, but Gavin taught me patience. You know. And I still practice patience to this day because we do work with high school kids. They want to play Clash Royale sometimes, you know what I mean? Or they want to leave their food out on the table, you know, but the game is, I hate that game. But, you know, and I think my favorite part of what I do is like development, you know, and helping young people become really good older people. I don't care if they play sports. I think that's the other thing I want to preface. Is I don't care if you play sports after your college is done or high school is done. I care if you're a healthy and good person.
Sure.
And that's something I've had really good coaches. Like my wrestling coach in high school taught me that. And his name's Coach Rowland. Shout out to Lincoln East High School. They've won like 4 state championships since I've left, which is, you know, they could have waited 1 year after I graduated, but it's whatever. But Gavin, you know, taught me things that I don't even think I could learn on my own. I think, and you know, he became really successful at what he does, and I don't think it had anything to do with the training we were doing, but it made me better, which I think is really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we touched on in the beginning. Obviously, your background isn't, or at least sport-wise, isn't baseball, but you've recently started your own journey in baseball and throwing. Your road to 80.
Yes.
And how has that experience been? What have you learned? And how has it, if anything, changed your thought process now working with baseball players?
I think what's really cool about this Road to 80 series is I learned throwing baseballs is hard. Like, it is so freaking hard. You know what I mean? And this is coming from somebody that hasn't played baseball since, like, you know, the 7th grade, and probably didn't know how to throw a baseball right either. You know, it's just like local town ball. So it's like, but you know, things I learned about, it's like, and it's something like follow Greenwood Training on Instagram, but you'll see it. But one of the things I talk about in the first post is like, I have to trust the process. because progress is not linear every day. It goes up and down. There's peaks and valleys. Um, and I want to show. I think what's really cool about the series too, and it's reignited my flame for training a little bit because and you probably get this too. It's like training just weights sometimes gets boring and repetitive, and it's nice to spice things up and have something to train for, but also knowing to trust the process because it's not an overnight thing, and being about hey, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna be consistent at it. It's gonna happen. I think kids get lost in that, you know what I mean? And they get discouraged by that. It's if I'm not throwing if I'm not throwing 85 plus, I'm not going to go to college, which it's not true. You know what I mean? There are a lot of things that go into it, and just be about the process, man. See improvements in each day, and you'll get better. And that's my approach to this. And I want to show kids that if I can do it, you can do it too.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's awesome to see. It's from the outside, it's been fun to watch, and I think it shows a lot about you as a coach wanting to learn that process and go through that process. And I think it's good for our guys to see that it doesn't happen overnight.
I appreciate that, Matt.
No
my forearm is on fire all the time.
Yeah, especially like anything, your body will start to adapt to it, and your soreness will get less and less.
I just hope I can sleep soon.
Well,
I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. I'm tough.
Like I said, it's been good to see, and I think the 80 will come shortly.
I hope so. Then it's gonna be a road to 90.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've been awesome. It's been fun having you on. Yeah. Our last little bit here, we're gonna go with our rapid fire questions, short answers.
Okay.
But let's start that off.
Right.
Knowing what you know now, is there one thing you wish you knew when you were playing?
I think investing more into speed earlier on, I think would have helped me more. When I was in high school, I really wanted to play Division I football, as all football players probably want to do. The two things holding me back, I think, were my height and my speed. You know what I mean? And one of them was controllable. So my junior year, I actually got a speed coach and started working on it more. And, I was running like a 5.140. I was not fast. I wanted to play linebacker. This was not going to happen, I shaved that down to like a 4.82, which was cool.
Sure. And
got a lot faster, and it carried on to college, and it helped me play collegially at the Division II level, which was great. I had two teammates who got drafted, so it wasn't bad football. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But my freshman, sophomore year, I kind of got stuck in the trap of, let me see how much I can bench press. And, and also just being kind of there's nothing wrong with the style of training, which is powerlifting, bodybuilding, but getting big and strong. But sure. I think I neglected speed too much as a youth, so, that's the one thing I wish I would have known more about, so I think that's the answer right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Most underrated part of an athlete's development.
Underrated part of an athlete's development. I think the underrated, the mental side, being able to hold that on to, like we talked about, being able to be okay with failure, I think is very underrated on the development side, because we are going to fail. You're going to give up a home run. It's baseball, you know what I mean? And you have to kind of be forget about it next pitch, you know what I mean? And it's going to happen in the weight room too. You're going to miss a rep. You're going to get stuck under a bar one time. You're going to have a spotter, here at Rossy's training, we have spotters all the time. Absolutely. But the failure is part of process. And being okay with failure is going to make you a better athlete at the end of the day. So when I have kids one day, hopefully, who knows, but I'm going to sign them up for things that they're probably not going to be very good at, you know what I mean? Because I want them to be okay with getting better at something and falling in love with the process. And, being okay with failure is okay. I had a great, and I've already mentioned it, but my wrestling coach was great in high school. Even if I was a pretty good wrestler too, I wasn't bad at all. But even if I lost the match, and this comes from a coaching aspect, if you ever have a coach that gets mad at you for failing, I would run. You know what I mean? I had a Coach Relich was amazing, because even if I lost the match, he'd still love me, and what was awesome about that team was just you couldn't do as long as you tried and put effort into something, it meant something to him. And that I think that's where my coaching style comes from. If you put effort into something and you work hard, and even if you fail, I don't care, man. I still love you. You know what I mean? And that's the environment I try to create wherever I go, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Go to lift or exercise you'll never take out of your program. You personally.
Me personally, it has to be squat. I just feel the best when I squat. Like it's a non-negotiable for me. Like it has to be my programming no matter what. It's kind of like I think Jalen Hurts made a comment about it one time because he's a really good squatter too, and I like to put us in the same category about, you know what I mean? He's a good looking cat. I'm a good looking cat, you know. Yeah. So both athletic dudes, but you know, I think I have to squat, and I didn't really like squatting until I got to college because I wasn't good at it, and I got really good at it, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. And after my football career, I just started squatting all the time, and it just made me feel the best. And I think there's value in that. Like even with kids here, it's like, you know, let's do things that make you feel good, including lift wise. Like I'll purposely keep lifts in programming for kids that, you know, if they like it, I'm not going to change it, you know? So it's the same thing with me with squatting. Like I have to barbell back squat. Just, I have to do it.
I like it. I like it. What's your favorite training tool?
Like equipment wise?
Yeah.
I think the thing I nerd out the most about is I really like the SSB. That's a tough question. I have to go with SSB because you can just do.
So versatile.
I know it's so versatile and you can do so many things with it. But I'm tempted to say the barbell. I'm gonna go with SSB, just from a programming point of view. Like there's just a lot of things we can do with it. You know.
Sure.
So I gotta go SSB on that one. I also think it's like easy to teach kids how to squat with SSB versus a barbell, so that's why I like it as well.
Just center of mass is in an easier position.
And it's kabuki, which is sweet too. Yeah, kabuki's cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, last question. One piece of advice you'd give to an athlete first day walking through our doors. Or any
first piece of like a new athlete, new client.
Yeah.
Man, just have fun. You know what I mean? I think. You know, like this place is supposed to be fun. You know, if I'm working in a place where we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong on our end, right? It's like, you know,
and any guy about to start training, whether it's here or somewhere.
Yeah, the way there or somewhere else, like you enjoy it, you know, because like if we're not having fun, we shouldn't be doing it, you know, and I think when kids come in here, they're a little nervous because it's a new environment. You probably don't know everybody. Maybe you know one kid from school, but you don't really talk. But you know, you see him here, and then you become friends eventually. But just have fun, be comfortable, ask questions. You know, and everybody here is trying to get better, and you know, you want to surround yourself with the best. And I believe we probably have some of the best kids in the Bay Area who train here, right? And I'd argue that's probably a fact. You know, it's like guys that just want to get after it. And I've seen, you know, some of our Division I guys talk to the freshmen on their first day during a pitching assessment. Like it was nobody's, like they just want to get to know you, you know?
Absolutely.
I think we do a good job of keeping egos in check here, and there are no egos, I'd argue. And everybody here is just trying to get better, and we're all on the same page. So just have fun, you know? And I promise you that people will be nice to you here, you know?
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's goals are the same.
Yeah.
Everyone's just in different spots in their journey. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and hopefully we all end up in the place that we want to be, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Grady, it's been awesome. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's been cool to hear your perspective and just give our listeners a little bit about you and what your philosophies are.
Cool, man. Well, Matt, I appreciate and thank you. And
of course.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, anytime. Well, if you want to learn from Grady, always welcome here. With that, if you want to reach Grady, where can we find you?
Greenwood Training on Instagram. The Road to 80 is on there. I think that's the best way to reach me. If you do DM me, I probably won't get back to you because everybody's DMing me, you know, so I will try to get back to you. But Greenwood Training is probably the best way to get to me. Also, email, you know, through Rossy's Training if you want to talk to me about anything. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Well, for us, you can reach us or go check us out at rossystraining.com. Our Instagram is Rossy's Training. We're putting out content weekly, giving you guys information and things that you guys continue to learn and help you become a better player. Appreciate you guys listening. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. See you next episode.